You know, I'm getting kind of sick of these people saying that we need to just wrap up the primary and that the longer it goes, the more it just damages the candidates. Look, this is the big league, folks. You better have your together if you want to get into that office. Don't you get it? Yes, it's dirty. Yes, it's slimy. That's the whole point. It's a winnowing process. To simply make it 30 seconds out of the gate and then say, all right, well, we're done here. That's a terrible idea. I'm sorry. Can we just go back to that last one? I suppose any of you happen to be fans of the comic Transmetropolitan. Screw you guys. But seriously, would you rather some slimy tidbit came out now, while we can still choose our candidate, or wait for it to come out later on down the road in the general election when there's nothing we can do about it? If we get everything out in the open now, when the Republican nominee gets on that stage with Obama, he's going to be throwing left and right, and guess what? All you're going to hear is crickets, because it's going to be old news. Doesn't anybody remember 2008? That was a pretty protracted primary. Did it hurt Obama? Oh, right. He won by a pretty good margin. Right. There isn't a candidate on that stage that isn't a better candidate because of this process. Rick Santorum went as far as to say that he's a better man because of it. Whether you believe that or not is frankly irrelevant. What it comes down to is this: you can't perfect a statue without hitting it a few times with a chisel. To blather on about how much we hate negative campaigns and how, why can't we all just get along, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. It does a disservice to the candidates, and it does a disservice to us as voters. And ultimately, it's just disingenuous, because guess what? Negative campaigns work. Period. So in Gingrich's own words, let's just drop the pious baloney, okay, and get on with it. So with that in mind, I'm going to take a little bit of time here and talk about the debate last night. Was that a damn snore fest or what? My God. I mean, I was a little bit excited at first when we had that exchange going on between Gingrich and Romney. That was pretty good stuff. There was some legitimately substantive, interesting exchanges taking place there. I would go as far as to say that it's probably the most direct confrontation between the two that we've probably seen since, any of these debates. Thank God Williams had the intelligence to just let it go, basically.
Mr. Speaker, you were on this stage at a prior debate. You said you were paid $300,000 by Freddie Mac as an historian. They don't pay people $25,000 a month for 6 years as historians. You were hired by the chief lobbyist of Freddie Mac, not the CEO, not the head of public affairs, by the chief lobbyist of Freddie Mac. You also spoke publicly in favor of these GSEs, these government-sponsored entities, at a very time when Freddie Mac was getting America in a position where we'd have a massive housing collapse. You could have spoken out aggressively. You could have spoken out a way to say these guys are wrong, this needs to end, but instead you were being paid by them. You were making over $1 million. At the same time, people in Florida were being hurt by millions of dollars.
Government-sponsored enterprises include, for example, telephone cooperatives, rural electric cooperatives, federal credit unions. There are many different kinds of government-sponsored enterprises, and many of them have done very good things. You can make a pretty good argument that in the early years, those housing institutions were responsible for a lot of people getting a lot of good housing.
There's no question about that, but we're talking about one. We're talking about Freddie Mac.
Right.
And that one did a lot of bad for a lot of people. And you were working there, making over $1 million for your entities controlled and owned by you.
Owned by you. Did Bain ever do any work with any company which did any work with the government, like Medicare?
We didn't do any work with the government. I didn't have an office in K Street. I wasn't a lobbyist. I've never worked in Washington.
So
you were working there. We have congressmen who also say that you came and lobbied them in favor.
I didn't lobby them.
You have congressmen who say that you came and lobbied them with regards to Medicare Part D. At the same time, your senator was taking in contributions.
You just jumped a long way over here, friend.
Well, another area of influence peddling.
No, you know. I have always publicly favored a stronger Medicare program. I publicly favored Medicare Part D for a practical reason. I'm proud of the fact that I publicly, openly advocated Medicare Part D, and I did it publicly, and it is not correct, Mitt. I'm just saying this flatly because you've been walking around this state saying things that are untrue. To describe public citizenship, having public advocacy as lobbying, every citizen has the right to do that. And what I did on behalf of Medicare, I did out in the open, publicly, and that is my right as a citizen.
Here's why it's a problem, Mr. Speaker. Here's why it's a problem. And that is, if you're getting paid by health companies, if your entities are getting paid by health companies that could benefit from a piece of legislation, and you then meet with Republican congressmen and encourage them to support that legislation, you can call it whatever you'd like. I call it influence peddling.
Now see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was looking for right there. There's always been a part of me kind of sitting back in the corner waiting and hoping that Romney was going to, at some point, finally take off the namby-pamby gloves and, actually get in there and kick the crap out of some of these guys. Don't think that spirit is lost on people, because it isn't. I mean, that's one of the primary reasons that people are responding to Newt Gingrich, and one of the probably biggest reasons why the support for Mitt Romney can sometimes be tepid. They don't see that fire, that spirit. That's what people pick up on. In a lot of ways, when it gets down to it, a lot of these candidates aren't, despite what some would have you believe, they're not all that different. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of it is going to come down to personality. Not all of it. Not all of it. Don't take that further than it needs to go. But believe me when I say that personality is certainly an important factor. And it's probably, thus far, has been one of the biggest impediments to Romney's campaign, is that people don't think he's relatable. They think he's kind of stiff, and that he doesn't have that oomph that they want to see. They want to see people kick the crap out of Obama. And they don't want, well, he's a nice guy, but I just don't think he understands the economy. People don't want that. They want, he is an idiot. He has destroyed our economy. He's done, X, Y, and Z. This is why he is an abject failure. That's what people want. They don't want, well, because you know what? That doesn't have the slightest chance in hell against $1 billion of campaign funds in the Obama administration. This is what people are going to be facing, folks. $1 billion in campaign funds. $1 billion with a B. And he's a nice guy. People don't get sold on that. That gets crushed by $1 billion. They want. That is politics. That's America. That's what people want. What they don't want? Oh, I don't know. Maybe completely ludicrous and irrelevant questions out of nowhere. Okay. A lot of my readers really want to know, what's your stance on sugarcane? Go! Remember Terry Schiavo? That was crazy, am I right? Yeah, sure. Mars mission? Huh? There could be aliens out there. Are you f***ing high right now? Who picked these ass bags? I mean, seriously? Out of all the shit that's going on in the world right now, you took it upon yourself to ask them about sugar cane?